What's up, guys? Adam and Ryan here, back again for this week's fishing report. Heard a lot of cool things going on, so let's get right into it. Rockfish was really good this week, and we hope that it carries in to the weekend. It is fall, guys. I know the calendar might not say it's full swing fall yet, but fish don't have a calendar, and temperature, conditions, all things are pointing to fall right now.
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of hot areas to catch rockfish right now. Jigging at the bridge with straight tails, paddle tails, even metal jigs, your typical stuff. Live lining spot's going to work really good too. Really, really hot at the bridge right now. Patapsco is kind of clearing up a little bit after that weird little pistachio tide algae bloom we had.
Yeah.
So it's starting to clear up a little bit and people are catching fish again. Heard good things about the mouth of the Chester. In the Middle Bay, I've heard things about the mouth of the Chop Tank, Eastern Bay, Sharps Island Light, Taylor's Island, up in the Little Chop Tank, Patuxent River, Solomon's, all those areas, people have been catching a lot of rockfish.
Yeah, and we're talking about those places. We're starting to see those rockfish move off of really tight, shallow structure. Not to say you can't still find them there. You're still absolutely getting good topwater bites morning and evening in those shallow water structure areas, but the fish are moving deeper. A lot of your straight tails, like with 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce jig heads, on the bridge, and even in open water, I've heard a good bite in Eastern Bay in like open water, 20, 30 feet, getting on rockfish schools and being able to stay on them pretty consistently, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fun kind of transition time of year. Like Ryan was saying, you can go beat up some shoreline with topwater in the morning, and then in the afternoon push off into the main bay or even into the channels and stuff, find those schools of bunker and find those schools of rockfish.
Yeah.
Something cool that we got in are these Buka trick shads.
Speaking of schools of bunker.
Speaking of schools of bunker, exactly. That's kind of the profile that we're looking at out there right now. A little bit non-traditional compared to the things you're normally going to throw, but these things are super fun, guys. Just a nice chop, chop, chop action like a twitch bait, and they chop side to side, and when rockfish hit them, they really, really hit them.
Looks exactly like a dying bunker on the surface.
Yep.
Other than that, the other thing that's really, really hot right now is crabbing.
Yeah.
All week we've been hearing people hand lining and actually catching like half, 3/4, and full bushels of crabs off of piers in the Severn, the Chester, the Magathy, all your
South
typical
River as
areas.
well.
South River, yeah. And what do we got there, Adam? We have our hand lining stuff back finally.
We were sold out for a little while. We've got our hand lining stuff back in for you guys who want to do that. So just letting you all know, if you wanted to hand line, come back in and grab that stuff. What about white perch? What's going on with white perch, Ryan?
White perch, same thing as rockfish, has been heating up a lot. They're not as tight to structure. They're not as scattered around. They're starting to somewhat school up. I've been, the last week, catching them off of docks with these little tiny flashback mini chatterbaits from Z-Man. These work great. I don't know what it is about them, but they are absolutely fire for the white perch. We've been killing them on them, and big ones too, like catching 10, 11, 12-inch perch pretty consistently in the Magathy, Severn, South River, Eastern Bay, and the Chester River from what I've heard. But I'm sure you can catch them everywhere else too.
Yeah, and aside from just shoreline structure, you can find a decent amount of perch as well as spot and croaker on shoals, over hard bottom, things like that. Don't forget about fish bites, guys. Let's be real. I know the price of bloodworms is going up. These things work really, really well for all your bottom fish species.
Yeah.
Don't forget about them, guys.
Yeah, you put that on a sabiki rig, you can fish 10 plus feet of water very, very effectively for those white perch, croaker, and spot.
Yep. And then before we talk about some other species in the bay, I do want to talk about some of the freshwater stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Our Monocacy, our Susquehanna, our Potomac rivers, Upper Potomac, they are running low and clear right now, which is perfect for waiting for smallmouth. I know we've been talking about it the last couple weeks, but the less rain we get, honestly, the better and more water you can cover.
And even with that rain earlier this week, it's been so dry that we didn't have much runoff because everything was just soaked up.
Yeah, it is.
So it's still very clear.
Yeah, it is about as ideal of conditions as it gets for waiting for smallmouth bass. A really great clear water tactic is going to be a Ned rig, especially in the Potomac when you got a lot of rocks. Use one of these football head Ned rigs. Football heads just tend to come over the rocks a little bit better and get less stuck. And then you could put any sort of craw, any sort of just little tiny Ned worm on there. Work really good. Cast it out, let it sit, 10, 20 seconds, drag it a little bit more, 10, 20 seconds, drag it a little bit more. That's a really great option. But similar to rockfish, I mean, smallmouth are bass. So in those low light hours, throw top water at them, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, what goes over rocks really well is top water.
Yeah.
And with the water cooling down, it gets even better.
Oh my God, do smallmouth whack a top water. I mean, those little spooks, like a 2.5,
Boyo.
3-inch spook, like the boyo works really good. Your smaller size whopper ploppers, even poppers I've done good on too. Just if you're using a popper, you want to try and target a boulder or something or a stick pile and pop it through there.
Yeah. Or even that Darabuzz right there by Jackal. This is a downsized buzzbait. These would work really great for smallmouth. But also in the freshwater realm, talking about like mill ponds too. Always gets better with this colder weather. So over on the eastern shore, we had a couple of our employees here catching, decent sized largemouth on paddle tails and topwater like the Darabuzz. So it's been pretty good for that too. Largemouth as well as smallmouth has all been picking up, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the snakehead side of things, I know you guys, if you've been out there, you're probably noticing some of that vegetation is dying off, your pads, your grasses, things like that. That is where the snakehead are going to be sitting right now before it dies off for good and they push off to deeper water. Great way to get through those pads is a frog, as you all know. Weedless chatterbaits, weedless underspins work really, really good. We did get this new frog in. It's a Caperlin frog. It's got, I don't know if you can see this kind of lip here on the bottom. In my opinion, this is now the best frog that we carry here at the store. It walks effortlessly. The skirted legs are trimmed to the perfect length. I've used this myself. It is, I'm crazy about it. So
yeah.
If you want to hear, just come in and talk to me. I'll talk this up all day.
Yeah. And then moving aside from freshwater, once we get down into the lower bay, things have been slowing up a little bit. The red drum aren't as prevalent. I know a lot of people have started to target rockfish over red drum because they're harder to find. But up in the shallows, when it gets colder, moving into the fall months, we're going to start to see some shrimp, which is awesome for speck fishing. You might still get some puppy drum too, but using these NLBN shrimps, the 3-inch, that's going to perfectly imitate the shrimp that we get in the lower bay, middle to lower bay, in the fall months, and those specks and puppy drum love them. So target grass edges with these, target docks, any sort of structure, rocks, but more so grass edges.
Yeah, and slather those in ProCure.
Yeah, definitely.
Slather them in ProCure. Specs and puppy drum. I know there's not a lot of puppy drum around, guys, but you might just get lucky with one. But specs, for sure, they go crazy for the scent.
Yeah,
so if you're going to throw a shrimp bait and specifically target specs, slather that thing up with scent.
Yeah, and just like last week, this week has still been pretty much on fire. Kind of Little Chop Tank and south, between Little Chop Tank and Point Lookout has been really, really good for trolling for Spanish mackerel. Casting at them hasn't been as good, but trolling for them, a lot of guys have been putting some good numbers in the boat. And for that, you're really just going to want to use a 1 or 2 planer. We've been mostly hitting them on number 2s this week with a 1-size spoon. And honestly, like Chartreuse pink spoon, something bright, works really well for them. Now, if you did want to cast at them or bluefish, these Yozuri Hydra shots work really, really well. They're really heavy. They're almost an ounce. They have a nice single hook on the back. They come in a lot of cool different colors, and when you burn them across the surface, they literally just do this S motion like an escaping bait fish, and it drives bluefish and mackerel crazy. So that's a lot of fun to do in the middle bay. And then while you're doing that, you may or may not come across a couple cobia that are still hanging around. They have been kind of finicky, but we have seen them. The twitch bait from Tsunami works really, really well on finicky cobia. So if you do see one, pitch that in front of them, twitch it a couple times. You might get lucky enough to hook up to one of those giants.
Yeah, but they've been really spooky, guys. I mean, if you see one, if you can, try and turn your motor off and just drift towards him.
Yeah.
Because if he sees you before you see him, he's gone.
Yeah, definitely.
So they've been really finicky, but definitely.
They are still up here, though.
Yeah.
That is the key point, is they are still here between, like, Point Lookout and the Chop Tank. They're still around. We've still been seeing them.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you guys. We want to see a keeper cobia hit the deck.
Yeah, for sure, especially in
Maryland.
Maryland.
Drawn a blank a couple times. So.
Yeah, but
yeah,
we want to see it happen.
Yeah.
Aside from that, that's pretty much all that's going on in the bay. But pushing offshore, It's been not on fire, but consistent. You're still getting white marlin. A couple tuna have been caught from what I hear. I heard the Washington Canyon. Now, if you go to the Washington or deeper for the white marlin and tuna, and for some reason strike out, you can always lean back on tilefish, sitting at about 350 feet of water for blue lines. These Jigging World tilefish rigs, as you know, I love these things. They work really well. If you get into a hole of them with some squid strips and these rigs here, you're bound to come home with some meat. So that's always good. Anything else?
Yeah, just one more thing. Touch on catfish really quickly.
Yeah.
Forgot to talk about that at the beginning. I've heard pretty good blue catfish bite out of the Chester River, sort of kind of by the mouth, but I've also heard things about the Patuxent River blue cat bite as well. I also heard of people catching a couple white catfish on jigs at the bridge this week.
Yeah.
So it's starting to get a little colder. Those catfish are moving in. Haven't heard too much about flatheads on the Potomac and the Susquehanna, but that should be good any day now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But besides that, I think that wraps it up for our fishing report this week. Good luck this weekend and this coming week, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.